Here's something Laura has been telling you about for weeks. Democrats will be turning to sexual misconduct accusations to try and dump Trump. Now, the allegations of collusion with Russia are going nowhere. But now the chatter and debate is almost intensifying by the day. Let's discuss that prospect with Erin McPike, White House correspondent for the Independent Journal Review. Erin, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we've heard a lot in the last few weeks about President Trump potentially firing special counsel Robert Mueller. The White House has vehemently denied that claim. Why do we keep hearing about it?
Why do we keep hearing about the White House going on this rampage on Robert Mueller? Look, I think a number of Democrats, sorry, Katie, I have an echo in my ear. Democrats clearly, I want to see if that's fixed for you, Katie.
Okay. Just have a little technical difficulty. All right. You're okay? You're doing all right? Yeah?
I'm good.
Good to go?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Do you need the question again?
Yes.
Let's change topics. Let's go to 2018 and how Democrats are going to play this. We've heard from the White House that the president has no goals of firing special counsel Robert Mueller. Despite those claims, we keep hearing from Democrats on the Hill that he might. How is the White House reacting to that, and what are you seeing on the ground going into 2018 in terms of the strategy?
Look, Katie, a lot of the Democratic strategists that I talk to do not want to be pushing impeachment, and that is because when you look at the seats that Democrats need to win in order to flip the Senate, there are a lot of seats that they need to hold that are very red states. That's West Virginia, that's Missouri, that's Indiana, that's North Dakota, and then they also need to win a couple of seats, and that's in states like Arizona and Tennessee. And impeachment is not going to play there. The specter of impeachment isn't good. And independent voters won't vote for that. They want to see Democrats really trying to go for things like infrastructure and working with Republicans on something, infrastructure chief among those. They know that impeachment's not going to play.
We are based in Washington. I'm based in Washington. The momentum now is clearly on the Republican side. Is there pressure on Democrats to come to the table with something in January, especially when it comes to big projects like infrastructure?
I do think infrastructure is the big thing. But look, the tax reform bill that just passed is still not very popular. Republicans obviously are going to be going on a tour of the country to try to sell tax reform, and Democrats have had the upper hand there. It did pass. There is going to be some momentum for Republicans, but Democrats want to keep that bill as unpopular, and their messaging has been better for the last couple of months than Republicans. So they want to keep pushing that message with the American people.
What about the counties, Erin, the 100-plus counties that switched from Barack Obama blue to Donald Trump red in the last election? How are Democrats targeting those voters, and are they seizing on issues like the economy, where the momentum is on the Republican side, or are they going with more of these issues of sexual misconduct and the Mueller investigation and the Russia collusion allegations?
I think the biggest message that you will see from Democrats is that they will say that Republicans haven't kept their promise, that simply that this tax reform bill will add to the deficit, add $1 trillion to the deficit, and that means that Republicans just haven't been truthful with what they've been trying to push on Capitol Hill. I think that is going to be a bigger message. Sexual misconduct will play in primaries. Sure, it will be an animating cause for Democrats with their progressive activists and with women, but I don't think that's going to be the biggest message of next year.
What about the numbers? The Republicans have very little wiggle room when it comes to passing their agenda in the Senate. Democrats clearly have their eyes set on the Tennessee Senate race. They're going after Arizona. How are voters there feeling about 2018, and what are the big topics there?
Kate, Arizona, I think, is the biggest one. Tennessee, I don't think, at the end of the day, will be in play as much. And what you're seeing from Kyrsten Sinema, that Democratic congresswoman who is formerly progressive, she's sort of moving into the middle, she's trying to cast herself as a moderate. She keeps saying that she's not even going to be talking about Donald Trump in her Senate race, that she wants to talk about tax reform and about infrastructure, some of those kitchen table economic issues. That's obviously the big message of the year.
Yeah, well, it's going to be an interesting 2018 for sure, and I'm sure we'll see you at the White House and out on the road. Thank you so much, Erin. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Katie.